Choshev Rabbonim, Rosh Hashivas, Tayra Yidden, members of the press, friends, and fellow protesters. We're assembled here this afternoon because the homeland of the Jewish people is under attack. The homeland of the Jewish people is currently attacked by vile enemies who would see it destroyed. And we're here this evening to speak up for the defense of the homeland and to protect it from those who seek its destruction. The homeland of the Jewish people is the Torah HaKadoshah. Jews have no nationality and no nation state because unlike all the other umos who exist because of a common land, language, or culture, we were a proud people, proud to be the custodian of the eternal book of books, proud to live our lives morally and in dignity and in conformance with the Ratzon Hashem. We had no aspirations to be great warriors, win Nobel Prizes or golden medals. We were proud to be pious, scholarly, and moral. We were proud to be Jews. When we prospered, we were proud, and when we were persecuted, we were proud. Especially when we were persecuted, we were proud because then we were proud that we were not our persecutors. We were proud that we were the oppressed and not the oppressors. When we were persecuted, we thanked Hashem every day that we were prophets and not persecutors. But there were those who were not proud. There were those who were ashamed. They loved the lifestyle of the anti-Semites. They envied their power, their ruthlessness, their tanks, and their planes. They were ashamed that a Jew is a Torah scholar and not a soldier. They were ashamed that Jews named their children Yisrael Meir, Velvel, or Yoeli, and not Nimrod or Omri. They were ashamed that the Jews would rather celebrate finishing a Masechta and not win a scholar championship, a soccer championship. They were ashamed that the Jews would rather invent a new pshat in a Tosfos rather than a new form of martial arts. They looked at the Jew the same way the anti-Semite did. Ugly, despicable, weak, and shameful. They looked at this Jew the same way, if we could imagine the way a gorilla would look at a Jew. Pale, weak, and worthless. They were Jewish versions of the anti-Semites. They hated Jewishness, and they hated Jews. They hated Judaism, but they could not live amongst the anti-Semites because the anti-Semites persecuted them too. Poor Koifrim. Whatever shall they do? Their solution was Zionism. Its goal, to destroy all that makes the Jews in their eyes so weak, so despised, to destroy all that makes the Jewish people so Jewish. They diagnosed what they called the Jewish problem, and they decided that the source of the problem is Judaism, the religion itself. If only we could get rid of Judaism and be more like our persecutors, our lives would be so much better. But don't believe me about this. Let's give the Zionists a chance to speak for themselves. I quote from one of their founding fathers, a man whose version of Zionism is the dominant one in Israel today, Vladimir Jabotinsky Shem Rishoyim Yirkov. And I quote, "What is a Zionist?" This is what he said. To imagine what a Zionist is, you have to take a Yid and imagine the opposite, the exact opposite of a Yid. A Yid is ugly, sickly, and has no hadras ponim. Therefore, a Zionist has to be beautiful, have massive shoulders, vigorous movements, and shades of bright color. Because a Jew is despised, the Hebrew must be charming. Because the Jew is disgusting to everybody, the Hebrew should be lovable. The Jew is submissive. The Hebrew has to know how to command. Jewishness was a destructive doctrine that needed to be eradicated, and the Zionists did their best to eradicate it. They wanted to repeal and replace Judaism, to replace religion with nationalism, to replace the Talmud with tanks, and to change the people of the book to the people of the bomb. So they obtained a state, and they declared this state to be the nation state of the Jewish people. They created a language, Ivrit, and they decided it's the language of the Jewish people. They made an army, and they decided that this army is what defends the Jewish people. But the Jewish people have no state. We have no national language, and there is no army of the Jews. What they created is a statehood, but it doesn't possess any aspect of Jewishness or Judaism in any form or matter. The truth is that the state of Israel has as much to do with Judaism and Jewish identity as China or Korea does. They should stop calling themselves Israel and stop calling themselves a Jewish state, because those are lies. They can call themselves, if they want, Herzlstan, the nation-state of the Herzlstanis. Or they can call themselves the Canaanim if they want. They can call themselves whatever they want. But they are not Israel, and they are not the state of the Jews. For over 100 years, this assault on our identity has raged, and the Zionists have used many ways and means to repeal and replace Judaism. But the strongest weapon throughout the years that they've used was indoctrination, propaganda. And the strongest tool of propaganda is their army. The Israeli army is not merely a military organization. Israel set up its military to be an indoctrination camp for Zionist ideology. It's designed to be an educational institution, not merely to teach its recruits how to shoot, but to teach them how to be Zionists. Not merely to show their soldiers how to serve the Zionist country, but how to serve the Zionist gods. Israel's army is a church of Zionism. Ben-Gurion called the Zionist army a melting pot. He said it was designed to, quote, clean, refine, and purify the Jews of their, quote, foreign garbage. It sounds more like a rehab than an army to me, and indeed is a rehab. But what Israel's army wants to rehabilitate us from, we would give our lives to keep. The IDF Officers Training Manual was found to include lectures on the following topics. 1, what is Judaism? 2, is Judaism a religion, a way of life, or a constitution of a nation? 3, what is the identity of the Jewish people? What business does a military have to teach about religion? Imagine if the Belgian army, for example, were to teach its soldiers about Christianity or Islam, and tell them what your priests taught you about Christianity, what your imams taught you about Islam is all wrong. We in the army know what Christianity is. Who in the world would ever tolerate such a thing in an army? Every day they're beating up Jews. They come with their clenched fists and twisted faces, with their batons, on horseback and on foot. And they beat Jews, and they hurt Jews. You know what? You could beat us, you could hurt us, you could put us in jail. Then you're dealing with Hashem. Domam loini kesi. But when you want to hurt the Torah, we draw a red line in the sand. And if need be, we draw that red line with our own blood. And to the state of Israel, I have advice. You have 2 paths in front of you. You can either rescind all the laws, the loopholes, the terms, and that shtick you have that forces the Jews to go through your indoctrination camps. Your second option is to build more jails, because you're going to need them.